man shouldn't have to live on carbohydrates alone, complex or otherwise. Yes, this is a science fiction rating system. That quote is not from the film Battleships. That quote, which does have a carbohydrate quote in it, that quote is from the film Cowboy Bebop, the movie, aka Cowboy Bebop Knocking on Heaven's Door, which is the official title. Do you know why it's not really called that?
A Dylan dispute?
Yeah, disputes with Bob Dylan. Yeah, they couldn't... I don't think...
Fair enough, really.
Well, mate, why couldn't he be a fan? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with
you can't just take
Bebop?
the name of a song, can you? Or can you? I don't know, actually, can you?
I don't know. Maybe you can. Anyway, we're here to talk about Cowboy Bebop, the movie. We are the science fiction rating system. Yeah, I mean...
Man down.
Man down. We are a man down. Yeah, you've only hearing two voices. Yeah. I'm not saying hello. I'm saying hello to Sam Draper, but I'm not saying hello to Chris Redding. He's still not here.
He's still away on business.
Making a movie.
Yeah, hope it's all going well for him.
I'm sure it is.
Well, we don't know. We've got some funny correspondence from him, haven't we? at times, it sounds like it's not all.
Yeah, he's gone radio silence at the moment. I don't know what's going on.
Hopefully, that's a good sign. He's busy. Let's hope.
Yeah, maybe it's but yeah, he's out there somewhere. But we carry on regardless. There are films to rate and review. We've got to do every film from 1 to infinity.
Yeah, we can't wait for Chris.
No, we can't. We can't stop.
And this was your birthday pick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, this was my birthday pick. So I picked it because I read that the TV series, the live action TV series, was coming out on Netflix, and I didn't want to watch that before I'd watched all of the animation. So I watched all of the animated series and then had a bit of a gap and then watched the live action one. And then I found out there was a film. I didn't know there was a film. Did you know there was a film?
No, I didn't know there was a film, no.
No. Had you watched the series?
I'd watched, back in the day, 2004-ish, whatever, I watched, when it was on, the VHSs they used to put out with a few episodes.
Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine had some of those, so I'd seen random episodes.
Oh, okay.
But like you, I also started watching the anime early this year, before the live one came out. I didn't watch them all, I got about halfway through, I think. Okay. But then I watched the first of the live one and was like, this is absolutely dreadful.
Yes, so, so for people that don't know anything about Cowboy Bebop, it is directed by Shinichiro Wanatabe, who we've talked about before because he did the Animatrix Kid Story and Detective Story.
Yeah.
Kid Story, which is one I think is possibly the worst one in that.
Yeah.
The Detective Story is all right.
Which one was Detective Story?
It's
the noir sort of one.
Yeah, we didn't love
that.
That
wasn't great either, no.
It wasn't great. But yeah, his series, He did Macross,
didn't he? Plus, have you ever seen Macross?
No, I haven't. I know
about it, but I feel like I should watch that.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be
big robots, isn't it?
Yeah. It ran between 97 and 98, and basically this film is 26 episodes, the series, and this film was supposed to be like an extension of that. And interestingly, the film is set between episodes 22 and 23. So
but knowing how the anime ends, you can't set it after it, can they?
No, you cannot. No. Yeah. I mean, if people don't know about Cowboy Bebop, it's an amazing. I think it's spectacular. A lot of people say it's one of the best animes there is, series there is. I think it's up there.
I think it's one of those things that people who don't like anime should watch because it's not at all. It's very not. Well, it's not like anything really, is it? It's so odd.
No.
Yeah.
It's such a good blend of things. Basically, the kind of premise is it's the future. It's 2071, in fact. Mm-hmm. And there is, there's lots of colonized planets. There's all sorts of advances in science. And the vibe of the show is kind of a blend of kind of neo-noir, sci-fi. There's a bit of gangster stuff in there, isn't there? There's a lot of gangster stuff. There's a lot of Western elements to it.
Lots of cyberpunk corporations stuff.
Yeah, and hacking and stuff like that. It's a real hodgepodge of things that manages to be a brilliant blend of stuff, but also extremely original in its own way.
It's very, very 90s. The soundtrack,
yes,
which is amazing.
It's very 90s,
but is extremely, and the way it's Isn't it even like there's an A side and a B side, isn't there? Like halfway through the thing, it like flips.
You get this weird
cards.
Yeah, there's a weird middle. There's a weird kind of interval in each episode. Yeah, and it's obviously in that boxed 4:3 format. It's not in widescreen at all.
I remember watching it on the VHS, and it was like it was kind of like, because obviously Ghost in the Shell and Akira were kind of my experience of it, and it was like, whoa. Like, this is just absolutely batshit off the other end, insane, like a completely different way to the Japanese stuff.
Yeah, and I think what is so great about it is each episode is its own little story.
Yeah,
they sometimes do part 1 and part 2. There's a couple that go across 2 episodes, but a lot of them are very much standalone, and it is very clever because it throws you into the world of these ragtag team of bounty hunters. The main ones being Spike Spiegel and Jet Black. They're the main ones. Along the way, they pick up a dog. It's a corgi called Ein, who is immensely intelligent. But they kind of weirdly, he obviously is intelligent, but they never really talk about it. But the dog is obviously very clever.
Also in the film, they don't address it at all, other than he just does a few little bits. And it's kind of, if you didn't know, I think it'd be really confusing as to what's going on with that dog.
Yeah, that's true. They also pick up a little girl who is a hacker called Edward Wong, who looks kind of like a little boy. She's kind of annoying, but I like her. What do you think of Ed?
I do like Ed. Yeah. Well, I think the thing of Ed is, if she was always on it, like absolutely manic, she'd be very annoying. But because she's so flitting, like, I think she's kind of like it's a good what's the word, premonition of the future, because there are kids like this now who are all over the place. There's so much information overload, and I think she doesn't stay in one mode long enough to get annoying. Basically,
no.
So,
And then the kind of fourth main character is Faye Valentine, who is another bounty hunter. But what's really good is it just throws you into the world, and you pick it up pretty quickly. But then it takes like 10 episodes before you even get a bit of like backstory.
Well, before you even get all the crew, they don't get all the crew together till halfway through, do they?
No, and you don't really, and you get the backstory.
Very gradual, isn't it?
Very gradual. It's very well put in. It's very interesting, and it just really, really works.
Yeah.
Now, definitely, 100% the problem with the live-action remake was they tried to put the story in straight away, and it really didn't work.
But also, like, the acting, there's no chemistry, and the guy that got to play Spike, I get it, like, he looks kind of like a live-action Spike, but, I mean, I've only seen one, as I say, but it looked simultaneously extremely expensive and also extremely cheap. I thought it was quite a skill.
Yeah, I mean, some stuff in it works. The way they do the ships are quite good.
Have you watched it all? Have you seen?
Yeah, I've seen it all. Yeah.
Right.
So the way they do the ships are quite cool. There are some episodes that are directly versions. So do you remember the one about have you seen the one about the very weird, insane, like, clown assassin bloke?
Oh, yeah.
That inflates himself. There's one that is that episode. There's a kind of one where Spike is stuck in a machine thing, which is a bit like one.
I saw the very posh woman. That's an episode, isn't it? Like a kind of like a lady sort of leader of like a gang.
Yes. So some stuff links over quite well. It is very, very unlike the cartoon, which hints at things, this just wants you to know it straight away. So Faye in the series is a lesbian. She has sex with a woman in it, and it's all just said out loud. Yeah. In the animation, she might be a lesbian. There is an episode that kind of hints that, maybe doesn't. It doesn't need to say it. It's this annoying having to spell everything out way.
Yeah.
And the major failing is that what is paid off in the end of the animated series so brilliantly is started up very quickly in the live action, and the main villain, shall we say, the guy who's called Vicious.
But you don't see for a long time in the
no, not at all. He is played by the guy playing him in the live action thing is absolutely awful. He just can't act, and criminally, all the way through the cartoon, Vicious has this giant bird on his shoulder the whole way through, doesn't he? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And they don't have the bird in this, which really annoyed me. No, the bird's not in it. It really pissed me off. I was like, come on now, like...
I think, to your point about how it goes all in really fast and the anime doesn't, I think, to get onto the movie, I think that's exactly why the film can work standalone, is because...
Yes.
Like with the anime, Spike is such an interesting character.
Yeah.
Doing so little, you don't need to know anything other than he's a bounty hunter. That's all you need to know, isn't it? And you're willing to watch him, which I think is a really good...
Yeah. So the film starts, interestingly, with a scene which is pretty much exactly the same as the start of the TV series, which is this very kind of Tarantino... there's a robbery, isn't there? Yeah. And then it's all like violent and all that. And then Spike and Jet just wander in, but actually you kind of realise they're there to take down the robbers. And it's all lots of like little kind of snarky comments and... stuff like that, and it's very, very Tarantino. It works really well, and also I think straight away when you see the fight scenes, they're so well animated. Yeah, it flows like it's the way it's like because he does. It's very kind of Bruce Lee, isn't it? The fighting.
Yeah, and I think in the film as well,
good.
You can see they've got a bigger budget in the film, can't you? The animation is off the scale in terms. I mean, it is impressive in the anime, but like it's really smooth and.
It looks brilliant. All the fighting looks so good in this. And yes, I mean, this is kind of your introduction to these characters, their relationship. It's very kind of... the four main characters, it's very much kind of like Fantastic Four, like a dysfunctional family, isn't it? They kind of hate each other, but they kind of get along with each other. They kind of have to be in each other's lives. Yeah. I quite like that about it. They don't... Yeah. You know,
definitely. I like. It reminds me of Futurama. It always reminds me of that kind of like. Yeah. There's an underlying like they need each other, but no one's ever going to say it. You know, that kind of thing. And I love how they've all got their thing, haven't they? Like Faye going off and gambling all the time and things like that. And like, I don't know, but also it's not. You're right. It's not really pushed on you, is it?
No,
they're allowed to be the characters. And
so again, in the cartoon, Jet Black is like an ex-cop, isn't he? He was like a cop who was betrayed or who left the force. In the TV series, he's got a daughter, and they go on about the daughter all the time. And there's this whole subplot about him, and it's so annoying. And
also, the guy who played in it, that's the only one I thought he kind of got him.
It's not his fault. It's not the actor's fault. It's just the writing is just really bad in the series. And actually, all of this scene is kind of pre-credits, and you have this very odd credit sequence, which wasn't actually directed by the main guy. This is by one of the two guest directors. So the credit sequence is from...
It's the black and white bit.
Hiyoki Okura did that bit, and Tensai Okumura did the Western film within a film that you see.
Oh, right. Oh, I saw that, yes.
Yeah, so basically the main guy used guest directors for those scenes because he realised they'd be difficult and he didn't want to have to do them as well, so he kind of farmed them out to other people. Right. A lot of people think that this is rotoscoped, and it's not. So it's like a very weird... It's kind of a very 90s kind of song, isn't it? It's not...
Oh, yeah. It is a weird look, though, to it. It is an odd...
Yeah. And it also looks a lot like New York, when it's actually Mars. Now, a bit of a mucked up kind of coincidence. The plot of the film begins with a terrorist attack, doesn't it? In the Mars City.
I forgot this, yes.
This film was released on September 11th. So it's a bit bad timing when you know what this film is about, a terrorist attack, basically. It kills a lot of people. This was released on September 11th, and Mars looks a lot like New York. It's kind of based on it. It's a bit unfortunate, but yeah. But it's not a bad title sequence, but it's a bit... I didn't like the animation that much.
It's just very out of place, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I would say I agree with you that the soundtrack to the series is really good. I found a lot of the music in this a bit awful.
Yeah, it's a bit too... There's too much singing, isn't there?
Yeah.
The good thing about the series is that you get 20 to 30 second little blasts of it. That's enough. You don't need 3-4 minutes of it, do you? Because it's not great music.
No, it's not. It's a great theme tune. The theme tune to Cowboy Bebop's brilliant.
It's like the kind of thing that... what's his name? That DJ... not the one who just got done for... Have you heard about Tim Westwood today?
No.
He's... 9 women have come out saying he's molested them and things.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh. No, not him. Giles Peterson, you know Giles Peterson.
Oh yeah.
It's the kind of thing he'd be like, and we go, oh yeah, groovy man. With a big
it's very nice. It dates in a weird way. It dates the film in an odd way, doesn't it? Like definitely. These kind of 90s songs.
It's the shit-ended Ninja Tune records. That's what it is.
Yes. I agree with that. Yeah. So basically, I mean, the gang are all there. They're kind of hanging out, and the plot in its actuality begins when Faye goes off to take down a bounty. And it turns out the person she's after isn't there. There's just a weird, long-haired, kind of mysterious-looking, bearded stranger who is driving a truck, which he gets out of, and then the whole thing explodes, and all these people die. And basically, it's like they're saying it's a bioterrorism attack, aren't they?
Yeah.
That this virus has been released that no one really understands, and it's kind of spreading across the main city of Mars.
I think that's handled really well as well, because they cut to like the news reports, don't they? And there's a lot of character building going on, because they're just like not bothered and just like chilling out eating noodles and stuff like that. So they're giving us the information and telling us what the plot is, and also letting us know that what sort of characters we're dealing with here. It's really good. Yeah.
And there's also that good funny bit where they're all in the hospital talking about it, and the guy sneezes and they all freak out. He's like, I've got hay fever. It's like, that's really funny. But and then, I mean, that is the thing with Cowboy Bebop. It shifts its tone quite well, but it never doesn't work how it shifts its tone. There's a hilarious bit now when they ask Faye what he looks like, and she goes on goes to draw, and because it's like a very, you've seen this a million times in this type of film, and you think it's just this most absolutely terrible drawing, and they're all just like taking the mickey out of her about how awful it is. And
it is like, it's like Jesus, isn't it? Like a tiny little weird hand.
It's really
looking
bad.
like this. Like an
it's really funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that the art for the episode, actually, because that's it's classic. As Sam said, they all split up, because basically they chase the bounty, because there's a TV show, isn't there, that's always on that tells who the big bounties are. The two weird it's a woman and a man who present this TV show. Yeah. And because this has caused so much disruption, so much death, the kind of government of Mars have put a bounty on the terrorist's head. And as you say, like he's only really Spike's only really bothered because he wants better food, which is pretty much the theme of all of the episodes. Yeah, he just wants to eat. Yeah. This bit I wrote down, basically I wanted to know what Chris thought, and this is why Shon's not here, because those Bounty Hunter 2 on the screen, obviously they're in the anime and you see them a lot doing that. I wonder if you're not familiar with it at all, if you'd be a bit lost at this point, if it gets a bit too out there and weird. It's hard to know, isn't it?
Maybe. No, it is hard to know, isn't it? I mean, I think they do. It throws you into the world quite quickly, and because it's a world that's enough like ours but not. I really love the way in all the Cowboy Bebop they have these huge spaceships, but they land them in the water.
Yeah.
I really like that.
They do a
nice,
very
simple.
Yeah, they do like that kind of, not fish eye, but sort of like pulled back like vistas, don't they? Of like quite often it's the sea, isn't it? And like there'll be cities in the distance. Yeah, they do a really good sense of scale, don't they? And in the space world, there's big space stations they have, and the way they'll show off in the distance, the ring.
And they have
things.
those gates, those rings that are the gates that you kind of do hyperspace through. They're really good.
I love the thing about space stuff is how it's kind of, it's not really important at all, is it? That they're in space.
No.
It's really good.
You could watch someone could edit together the series or even this film, and you wouldn't know it was a sci-fi. They have normal guns. Yeah. They're kind of like, there's chases, aren't they? There are kind of cars almost as well. Yeah. Like it doesn't. That's not kind of the point of it, is there? It's an odd thing, but it works. It's a really good blend. But they all basically split up to try and find this bounty, and Spike goes to like Morocco town, basically. Yeah. Now the guy the kind of mysterious character Rashid, he's based on the Moroccan guide who they met when they were scouting locations. Now, I feel a bit like the makers of this film said, we need a load of money. Oh, what for? Location scouting?
We've got to go to Morocco.
Yeah, all these Japanese animators went to Morocco, had a holiday, basically. Yeah. I mean,
I guess though, I suppose, like, if you want to do something new visually,
Yeah.
The best thing they could do is go to a different culture, I suppose.
Yeah,
but really,
I guess.
it's a very... The location's not used for much, is it, really?
No, not really. And it is a bit, I mean, it is a little bit kind of stereotypical. It's this kind of mysterious,
Massively,
foreigner who kind of says these, oh, da-da-da-da, the beans,
stuff.
and it's all, I mean, whatever. More interestingly, now we meet the character who is Faye's original bounty. Now, he has a terrible British accent, but I like this character as an interesting character, Lee Sampson.
The hacker dude.
Yeah, the hacker dude. And you see him playing this like little video game, and he's going on about how he loves 20th century games because more modern games are boring and stuff. And it kind of hints that he is paid. He's with the main baddie, who's called Vincent. Mm-hmm. I just call him Beardy Baddie most of the time in my notes. He's with Vincent, and it's almost like implying that he's paid Vincent to join up with him to kind of play at being a terrorist, isn't it? Like, that seems to be the implication, I thought.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Because he says, I'm grateful towards you, seriously, I always wanted to try being a terrorist. So it's almost like he's kind of bored, and there's this really good, he's playing the game, isn't he? And he goes, I'm dead. And then they pull up next to this policeman, and Vincent shoots him. He's like, oh, you're dead. It's very, it's a bit disturbing. He's a bit
He's like the evil version of Edward, isn't he? He's like completely out of it, on the other end of it, like in a sort of a sociopathic way, you know? Yeah, no,
he's an interesting character.
Yeah.
You also then get Jet is off talking to another cop, and they're in this amazing... This is where you see the other bit of animation, the other film, which is a cowboy film. But they're in this amazing drive-in, but it's a spaceship drive-in.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
It looks like one of those golf... where people play golf, where they're on multiple...
Oh, yeah, yes, the driving range. Yes. I like how it's so empty.
Yeah,
There's a good sort of... They do a good line in a... there's quite dense locations in this, and you know when you're in the Badlands, things like that, and this kind of... It'd be very easy to fill this up, wouldn't it, and make it like a big gala event, but it's not. It's so muted and it looks beautiful, doesn't it?
They haven't done that. A lot of TV series, regardless of what they are, when they get that bigger budget, they completely go mad or even almost abandon the concepts or the themes or the look of the original. Yeah. And this does not do. I mean, this is really just an extended episode, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the money's gone on, let's say, the animation's better, and the actual fight sequences, the bit on the train, stuff like that, they couldn't have done that on the series because of the money. But again, they could have done that on a smaller scale, couldn't they? You just wouldn't have seen the amount of kinetic motion and things like that, would you, that you do?
No, So that looks really good. And then Ed is basically trying to find out who Vincent is, and it comes up that he died in the Titan War in 2068. Yeah. And this is where Ein basically says it's him. The dog says it's him. But would you know that if you didn't know the dog was in? Because isn't the dog? It's a bit like Johnny Mnemonic. Isn't in the series the dog is used to store data?
I think so.
In its head or something. I'm sure that's what it is.
Let me look him up. It's something weird.
And he's been tested on as well. He's been experimented.
Yeah. Hang on, let's have a look. Ein. Pembroke Welsh Corgi. The manga, the anime only hints at his brain being enhanced, but the manga shows Ed accessing data stored in Ein's brain via a virtual reality type interface in which he has a conversation with a human proprietor. Ein is able to speak to other species. That doesn't really explain it. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. It did matter, to be honest, when I got to the end of Cowboy Bebop, I kind of wanted a corgi.
He's lovely, isn't he?
Yeah, it's very, again, it's well animated. It really looked like a dog.
Yeah.
So now we know the baddie is Vincent. I've read on IMDb it says that the character Vincent is based on Bob Dylan. Do you think, does he look like Bob Dylan? He does a bit, but not much.
He looked like Jesus, I thought.
Yeah, he does look more like Jesus.
Bob Dylan? He looked like Bob Dylan,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just one of those IMDb unchecked facts.
Yeah. Perhaps he was, but then when they couldn't call it that, they had to quickly go back and change a lot of it. Cause it was...
Yeah. And then Faye basically finds the British guy, and there's this really the bit when he's playing that weird gun game.
I like that arcade.
She shoots it, and he goes mental, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's really good as well. But he manages to get away. So then, we're getting more into the plot here. And basically, they find these marbles. And the marbles, when they're analysed, have got lympho... How do you say that word?
What?
Lympholites.
I don't know. You're still an old person here.
I've got it written here. I can't say. But anyway, they've got this thing in them. They kind of got nanobots in them, haven't they? And it's these little weird marbles that are spreading this. This thing.
Weirdly, after the first bit being very sort of not slapdash, but like action going here and that. It kind of settles into like quite a serious sort of film, doesn't it? For the middle bit.
Yeah, there is quite a lot of actual investigation, basically, isn't there? And clues. Yeah. Like Spike goes off to infiltrate this pharmaceutical corporation, where he meets this kind of ex-military woman who also was in the wars with Vincent, who he has a bit of a kind of bit of a kind of
weird,
flirty banter. Doesn't really work so well. I would say that doesn't work so well. Good fight sequence with her as well, to be honest.
Yes,
that looks really good.
She's a quite an interesting character in a way, but like it's kind of you don't need that kind of forced angle of like.
No, you don't need to shoehorn in a romance. No. She's allegedly based on Gina Gershon. I don't know about that.
Her voice is Jennifer Hale, who is the female voice in Mass Effect, the Mass Effect games. Okay. So it was very weird watching this, because the character's a bit like the character in Mass Effect, so it's kind of odd to...
Yeah, see, it's interesting. I watched the series in the original language with subtitles, but I watched this dub because a friend of mine at work had said that he actually thought the dubbing was very good, that the voices are very on. Yeah,
I read the exact. I read it somewhere the exact same thing. Yeah, I watched it.
I know, and they are. I think they are. It's one of the few things where the voices really suit the characters well.
There's very few bits of that anime like. The run-on sentences where they have to like say loads of things really quickly like this, so they're fitting the gap. There's not much of that going on at all, is there really?
And how they sound is exactly how you imagine them sounding.
Yeah, it kind of made me want to go back and watch the anime, the series, because the same voices, aren't they? It's in the series.
Yeah. It's the same people. Yeah. Maybe you should.
Yeah.
Hey, should we pause for a quiz?
Oh yes. A solo quiz.
A solo quiz. You're playing against yourself.
You should ask the question to Chris when he comes back, and
we could see. Yeah, we could compare the score, couldn't we? So obviously we're doing Cowboy Bebop. So I'm going to read you the names. And you're going to tell me if they are real-life cowboys or real-life bebop musicians.
Nice.
Okay?
Cool.
So hopefully I've made this hard enough. So, okay. Shadow Wilson.
Bebop.
Yes. Played with Thelonious Monk and Ella Fitzgerald.
Nice.
The drummer. Charles Goodnight.
Oh, that's a great name. Cowboy.
Yes. Sometimes known as the father of the Texas Panhandle.
Charles Goodnight.
essayist and historian J. Fank Doob said that Goodnight approached greatness more nearly than any other cowman in history.
Is that his real name?
Charles Goodnight, 1836 to 1929.
Oh, have you seen a picture of him?
Yeah, they're weird looking. They're just cowboys, aren't they? I mean, like
Charles Goodnight, brilliant.
Charles Goodnight. Chano Pozo.
I mean, that's tough, isn't it? It could be like, I'm going to go Cowboy.
Oh, he was a percussionist. Co-wrote some of Dizzy Gillespie's Latin-flavoured compositions.
Nice.
Was the first Latin percussionist in Gillespie's band. Steve Dirtface Stevens.
Cowboy.
Yeah, Cowboy, obviously. You won't guess why he had that name. Long-haired Jim Courtright.
Cowboy.
Yes. A deputy county sheriff, he successfully reduced Fort Worth's murder rate by more than half, while reportedly extracting protection money from the town's business owners.
Nice.
Red Rodney. I
can imagine. I reckon Bebop. I could see him put out a mean beat.
Interestingly, he worked as an advisor for Bird, the movie about Charlie Parker, directed by Clint Eastwood. Oh. So he's got a cowboy link.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do two more. Lucky Thompson.
Bebop.
Yeah. Saxophonist. Nate Champion.
Nate, that's the cowboy.
Yeah. So Nate Champion, I have to read what I've got about him, right? So falsely accused by a wealthy Wyoming cattleman falsely accused by Wealthy Wyoming Cattlemen's Association of being a rustler, Champion was the first person targeted by a band of hitmen hired by the cattlemen. This is where it gets into. Do you remember in school when you would like they said, "Oh, write a story or whatever," and people would always do that, like, "Oh, and I'm in my house, and then he comes in, and I'm dying, and I've been shot," and But listen to this, right? Champion held out for several hours, killing at least 4 of the vigilantes and wounding several others. During the siege, Champion wrote a poignant journal which contained a number of notes he wrote to friends while taking cover inside the cabin. The last journal entry reads, "Well, they've just got through shelling the house like hail. I heard them splitting wood. I guess they're going to fire the house tonight. I think I'll make a break when night comes, if alive. Shooting again. It's not night yet. The house is all fired. Goodbye, boys, if I never see you again."
Oh my God.
And that's like the end of it. So he's in his house being besieged by these vigilantes, writing his journal.
It's amazing.
Oh, they're shooting me now. Yeah.
That's a cowboy for you, though. Call under pressure.
Cowboy.
Seen it all, haven't they?
Yeah, that's a cowboy. Well done, you did pretty well on that.
I know my bebop and cowboy, apparently.
Yeah, I thought you would, to be honest. I thought you'd have, anyway, back in the movie. So Ed does this. It's a very ridiculous bit where he goes out basically just door to door, doesn't he? Just like trick-or-treating.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's set around Halloween.
Yeah, this seems really weird. It goes on for ages as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and there's this bit when it's not a politically correct joke. However, he knocks on the door, isn't there? And there's this big guy dressed in a dress who says, "Oh, hello, little boy." Yeah. And the joke is obviously that he's a man dressed as a woman, but Ed is a girl who looks like a boy, and that's it. When Ed, so when he's going through all the credit card information to find this person, you see a load of names. Mm-hmm. Allegedly, according to IMDb, the listing of names are the top players in billiards in 2001. As well as some members of the the Billiard Congress of America Hall of Fame.
Who found that out?
I don't know. It's got all the names here as well. I've got every name. Yeah, it's weird. So anyway, he finds where Vincent is and tries to call Faye, and then gets distracted, doesn't he?
Yeah. So Faye has to go alone.
Yeah. Now this is where the film takes a bit of a turn for me.
Definitely.
She gets captured.
Yeah.
And he it's a bit horrible. He beats her up. It gets a bit rapey.
Yeah.
You don't know whether she has been raped or not. And basically, from this point on, Faye is completely sidelined, isn't she? In his house.
Yeah. Effectively replaced by the, whatever her name is, Electra character.
Yes. Yeah, effectively. And it's the only part of this film that I really disagreed with, because that is not that character, basically. No. She's a very strong character.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be as physically capable as any of the men in it. Yeah. She's very clever. It felt kind of wrong that she would even get into this situation. And there's a bit where he rips her top open, you kind of see her a bit more. Yeah. And I was just like, nah, this is a bit gratuitous.
I mean, the anime is very pervy over anyway, isn't it?
Yes. But this felt a bit more.
I mean, it's never like this. No, like sexual violence kind of thing. Also, I think the justification for it is that this isn't the finale of the film, and she does get out and she's involved at the end. But I agree with you that it just felt very out of character for.
It just didn't feel right.
She's not a damsel in distress, is she? That's not the character that was written in the anime at all.
Yeah, and also, I mean, they use it as an excuse for Vincent to kind of do these big long speeches about the world. I mean, we're really into an area that I know me and you like about this kind of Japanese animation that I don't know if Chris is so fond of, but there's a lot of this kind of musing about hell and about humanity, and it's a lot of this kind of heavy speculation and philosophy, and I quite like all that. Maybe it doesn't work so well in this one. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it does because the characters involved, like Spike. Yeah. He's that kind sometimes, isn't he? But he's not really. I also think it would be better if it was the Electra character who got kidnapped, and it would make more sense, because the whole thing about it, like you said earlier on, they're all kind of in their own stories, aren't they? And that's why it's good. They intersect and do like this. And so Vincent and Electra, as part of that same unit, they're in their own story there. So it should be that they're interacting there, not Faye and Vincent.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And as you say, the only real reason it's not Electra is it gets captured is because they want to have this kind of romantic-y kind of back and forth love-hate banter, which doesn't really work anyway, and it isn't really part of the series. No, again, it's not. No. There's no. I mean, what is good about the series, like I say, is that they're more like a family than they are like a kind of. There's never really a love thing between Faye and Spike in the series.
Yeah,
they are just more like brother and sister, isn't it? It's like
it's that kind of relationship.
It's like Jet is the dad.
Well, I mean, they basically hate each other, don't they? They? So...
and they keep screwing each other over, and they don't really help each other very much, and it just doesn't really work.
I think though, like the train bit we're coming to now, the train fight scene.
Yes, yeah.
I was just thinking about it, and this wouldn't work with Faye because this is now like serious action in a way, isn't it? And you've got the electric character there.
Yeah.
And I guess if they want to have this moment, and I think this is really cool, and this is a really good bit of the film.
Really good, yeah.
If they were quipping and a bit of banter going on, perhaps this wouldn't work as well. So perhaps you can see why they get her out of the picture for that.
Yeah, maybe. It's a very good action. It's on a kind of suspended train, isn't it? Like hanging under.
Like a monorail thing.
But underneath, isn't it?
It's going over an ocean, isn't it? It's like a really
it
beautiful
looks
looking stuff. Yeah,
really good animation. Looks really good. Spike seems to be blown up in the end or kind of killed, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he wakes up with these kind of Native Americans who have been in the series before.
Yeah, but it ain't great, is it?
No, it doesn't really work. It's all a bit silly.
It's really silly. They're on Mars.
Yeah.
Right? So what... why are these guys living on the reservation on the outside of a Martian city? It's...
I don't know, yeah. I don't know.
I think again, like, the tone isn't so consistent in this film, is it? And again, like you said, that whiplash thing, we've gone from, like, a quite serious action scene with a lot of, like, philosophizing, that kind of stuff. And then it goes to this, and you're like... what's going on here?
It's just a bit all over the place. And I mean, maybe in a way, what was so great about the series was they only had half an hour to tell these stories, or an hour, and maybe they've been given a bit. Maybe this is their indulgence that it gets a bit too. It's a bit flabby, maybe in the middle here. I think
definitely, yeah. I mean, again though, like it does move quite fast, and I love. I've got a note here: sunsets. Big capital letters, because that's when they're outside looking back into it and the sun sets over it. That is gorgeous stuff. That is like it's really.
The look of it is great.
But I agree. I think you could lose a good 10-15 minutes in the middle and you won't miss anything at all. Really, from this. So basically, Vincent. The reason Vincent is immune to this virus is because he was tested on during the Titan Wars, and he has these nano machines in him, and there's this theme, isn't there, of him seeing these golden butterflies? Yeah. And that's he's seeing all the time, isn't he?
Yeah, which he sees all the time.
Yeah.
They're allegedly a reference to the whole thing. It's a Chinese philosopher, the whole thing about the man who he had a dream of a butterfly, and when he woke up, he didn't know whether he was a man who dreamt of being a butterfly or a butterfly who dreamt he was a man. It's supposed to be based on that. The golden butterflies are supposed to be a reference to that.
It's a nice visual motif.
Yeah, no, it's a nice visual motif. And I think that isn't the pharmaceutical company trying to cover it up because they did the experiments on him.
They did the experiments. They know what it's capable of.
Yeah,
and they're trying to basically shut it down and make sure no one knows that they're responsible for it. Basically,
Yes. So we're kind of building to the climax here.
Before the climax, there's a bit. Have we gone past the bit where they go on the internet? You see the internet?
Oh, yes. Oh no, maybe I don't know if we've gone past that, but yes, I
think it's around here, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they log in, and it's a bit like Johnny Mnemonic, isn't it? But
it does look like Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah, it is like that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so. I don't know, like lots of words, and it's hard to describe, but very bright colours, and it's that same thing of searching through layers of internet and stuff like that. It's just very and
that happens in the series, isn't it? He's got weird, like Ed has these weird things that eat the pages away and stuff. Yes, it is a lot like Johnny Mnemonic, actually. It is that that kind of cyberpunk.
It's like fish things, aren't they? Like
that bite away. So Vincent's big plan is that he's going to the Halloween carnival that's happening, and he's got himself a nice big Witchfinder General hat and a big long coat.
I think it's really cool in that, I think.
Yeah. Do you also think that maybe Vincent watched the film Batman and decided to copy the Joker's plan?
Quite possibly.
I mean, it is pretty much exactly... They're a giant...
It's identical.
Inflatable balloons, and he's filled one with the virus. It's exactly the Joker's plan for Batman.
And there's no way they didn't know that.
No, there's just no Prince. There's just no Prince soundtrack, basically.
Yeah.
And they don't have the bat. They should have actually. They've got ships. They should have done that thing where he flies the Batwing and gathers all the strings.
Well, that's a great bit. You need John Nixon doing this thing on the float, like.
Yeah, so that's his plan, basically. So everyone's kind of rushing to get there. And there's this thing about the bridge that meets the sky, and that's basically this weird Eiffel Tower on Mars.
Oh, yes,
Yeah. Allegedly in this, for all those people that are fans of Cowboy Bebop, allegedly in the crowds and the parade, do you remember the character, the blonde, cowboy-obsessed bounty hunter?
Yeah.
He's in the crowd on his horse in this parade somewhere. Did you notice the three old dudes as well were in this? There's three old blokes that in the very beginning, Spike talks to these three old men who are on around a table, and they end up flying one of the planes in the end.
Oh, yes, sorry.
They're reoccurring characters from the series as well. Yeah. So again, everyone splits up. Spike and Faye are in their cool their spaceships. I think Jet has gone to get
the old men.
The old guys who've got all weird old fighters. It's quite a cool mix, isn't it, of like real planes and then kind of fake fighter planes of different, which they're going to go and they're going to spray the antidote over the crowd.
Yeah, like Randy Quaid in Independence Day.
Yes, another film they obviously watched to be inspired by this. When they came back from their Moroccan holiday, they're like, oh shit.
On the plane on the way back, they watched two films. Batman 89 and Independence Day.
Yeah, that's it.
Just made a few more notes.
There's quite a cool, there's a whole big space fight, isn't there? There's a whole big space kind of battle. Good stuff. Yeah. Looks brilliant.
It's got this crescendo, as much as it is a rip-off, it's got a nice rhythm between the different sections going down.
No, it all looks really good. The animation, as you say, I mean, they've really put the time and the money into the animation. It's very, very fluid. Almost doesn't look like animation at times. It's
really, really good. Yeah.
So that's going on, and basically Vincent and Spike have a kind of huge, big fight, don't they? Massive chat, massive fight, which goes on for a very, very long time. And the climax is that he doesn't do it. He doesn't kill them because he finally remembers, because his memory is gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he finally remembers Elektra. That's what stops him, is because he finally remembers her. And she kills him, but just as he's dying, he remembers that he was in love with her or something.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Of the days that I've lived, only those I spent with you seemed real.
Oh, of course, because he lets himself die, doesn't he? He's like... he realises that...
Before you part from this world, can you tell me something? Am I already dead since Titan, and this world the butterflies are showing me? Is it a dream? Or is their world the real one, and the world where I was the dream? I don't know. And that's exactly the kind of thing that comes from these films, isn't it?
It's good, I like it. It's very End of Blade Runner. It's raining as well, isn't it, this last scene?
Yeah.
It's very...
Yeah. And weirdly, it's one of the few films where you have to watch all the credits, because there's a song over the credits, and you kind of see... people going back to normal.
Yeah, what's happened next.
And you see, it's kind of carrying on, and you see Spike walking past Elektra, Jet is playing the game from the beginning, Faye's betting, Ed and I are fishing, the three old men are in it again. And then in the very, very end, you see Spike, because he at one point was infected, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And at the very, very end, he sees the yellow butterfly. So you don't know, is he still... infected, and it comes up like the end of every episode with the black screen with the writing on, and it says, "Are you living in the real world?" ? Because they always do that at the end, don't they? Have a little
"See you, space cowboy."
See you later, space cowboys. Yeah, and that's kind of the end. It's. It's one of those things where definitely, if you were a fan of Cowboy Bebop and you didn't know this existed, you definitely should watch it,
and you'll love it.
And you'll love it. I mean, I do think people will be as annoyed as we were by the portrayal of Faye, unless they're only really in it for the perviness. Yeah. And then they shouldn't call themselves fans, really. It goes too far. There's a kind of sexual violence to it that isn't needed.
No, it's a trope of anime that is very much not needed.
And it feels disrespectful to the character, and it's massively, a disservice to her. She's a really good character. She's probably one of the better characters in the live-action one, especially the actress is quite good, and her arc is a bit more interesting than everyone else's. And definitely in the series, she's a really interesting character. Yeah, so definitely fans of the series seek this out. Now, I guess the interesting question that we can't really ask, because Chris isn't here, is if you just didn't know anything about it, would this be like... Because I don't know how much... Would you pick this up if you didn't know anything about the world?
Yeah, it's impossible to know, isn't it? It's very hard, especially because we both watched it so recently as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's hard to not know that. But I do think, though, I mean, it is a self-contained story, definitely.
Yeah.
You don't need to know anything about anything else in the world, because like you say, you could probably watch any Cowboy Bebop episode, really, and just be all right with it. The only thing I think is, like, Edward and I, and like those sorts of characters, it's a bit odd, isn't it? And you might wonder why are they on the ship and why they're together and things like this. And
but the fact that they are bounty hunters, and it's a very like that they are bounty hunters and they're out on to get a bounty. That is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's what
it is. And if you've seen Batman, you'll understand the ending.
Yes.
So, what did you think about it, Sam? Was it? Did you enjoy it? You'd never seen it, had you?
I hadn't seen it. No, I didn't know it existed. I really enjoyed it. It was really good fun to watch. It was nice to see it on a bigger budget, on a wide, like you say, it's a wider scale, but not too wide. It's still very true to what it is. I do agree it lags in the middle, and I do agree that I'm not very happy with the Faye bit. But I think it was a very... I wouldn't put it up there with, like, Akira and Ghost in the Shell. No. Which is, a lot of people do. A lot of things I read was it's all the best. I won't go that far. It's a very, very well-made spin-off of a very good anime.
Yes. Yeah. I think the series is better than the film. The film is not better than the series.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, like I said before, a lot of series could learn from this. Because when you watch a TV series and you enjoy it, a lot of times when they make a film, they try and have either a prequel or an extended story or finish things off that were left undone. And actually, what you miss about the series is just enjoying being in it and interacting with those characters again and seeing them in that world. And a lot of series, if the movie had just been like this was, set in the middle of the series, they probably would be better films. Say something like Serenity, if that had been set back in Firefly rather than at the end of it and trying to do this with it and that with it, it probably would have worked better. There's lots of things that mucked themselves up or took a really wrong turn in their film version that they couldn't then undo.
Imagine how much worse this would be if the first half an hour was them all meeting each other for the first time, setting all that up, or if it was, they had to explain Vincent super fast and get to some big fight at the end.
Or it was
Fishers. Sorry.
Yeah, or it was some stupid thing where Jet was still a cop and he arrested Faye, but he didn't know it was Faye. Yeah. And then you see Ed is there, like some silly thing where you're like, oh, for God's sake.
Like a Star Wars sequel, basically.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So, no, I completely agree with you. I think it's good fun. It was good to be back in that world. It isn't the best version of Cowboy Bebop. The series is the best version, but it's nice that it exists. I think actually the best way to do it will be watch the series and then watch this where you're supposed to watch it and then carry on.
I would say that for people who are not as into this kind of thing, who aren't going to commit to watching a series, I think you could... Yeah. Well, I'd like to know, actually, like we say with Chris, could you just watch this? But I think you probably could just watch it and enjoy it as a film.
Yeah, if you watch this and liked it, then definitely watch the series. Yeah, I guess that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So where does it go in the list? So let's have a look.
Where's Red Line? Because that's the other...
I often think of Red Line.
Yeah, and I think that's the tier of anime I think we're dealing with here.
Do you know what? You know, when I think of Red Line, do you remember what we said about Red Line, about our live action remake?
No.
Our live action remake that we kind of came up with was set during World War II. Yeah. And you remember the plot of Red Line is that they do the race on a planet that is a fascist planet. Yeah. It would be that the Allies do a race through Nazi-occupied Germany.
Yes, I do this now, yes.
So it's like Wacky Races, but in Nazi-occupied Germany, but it's basically a Red Line remake. It would be amazing.
It would be great. Yeah. Would we have a giant baby at the end of it, like in Red Line as well? Yeah.
Yeah, the Nazis would have a super weapon.
Super baby, yes.
Super baby weapon.
Uber baby.
Yeah, that they brought about using black magic. And it would be the end. Yeah, where is Red Line? I can't find...
What would you call it? What's red in German? Is it Rotline?
Rouge.
Rotleinen. Red Line's at 93.
Is it better than Red Line? Oh, I don't know.
Maybe
it is better than Red Line.
Where's Paprika?
That's quite high up.
78, that is.
I don't think it's better than Paprika.
No, I prefer Paprika.
Yeah. But is it around that area? I mean...
What do you think? Do you prefer Redline or this? Tough, isn't it?
It's hard. Redline.
I think Redline's more visually arresting, but
yeah, it was mental as well. I liked how
but the story goes completely off the rails in Redline, doesn't it? At the end.
Yeah. I'm trying to see something that's maybe. I mean, maybe around Redline though.
Because also you've got Transformers the movie, the animated one, two above that, and this is again animated, same kind of.
Ooh, Transformers the movies. Oh, the bits of that are really good though. The beginning of Transformers the movie is almost just so good that it transcends the rest of the film.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think this is. Do you know what? I think this is probably better than. I wouldn't mind this. I mean, I don't mind it being around this area. Maybe a.
You think higher?
No, maybe lower than Redline.
Lower, right?
Maybe around Time Cop, because I think Dark Star I really like. I mean, Primer was interesting.
Entheran?
Entheran is pretty nuts. So this is kind of a bit like Entheran.
I thought about it the other day, Entheran. We need to watch the sequel. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think next year we can. It's 5 years since it came out, so we can watch it next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all right around the kind of around.
I think around Entheran's a good.
Around Entheran, is it better than Search for Spock? Should we? Chris is definitely going to say it's not as good as Search for Spock.
Yeah.
So should we put it underneath Search for Spock?
In honour of our fallen comrade,
but above Time Cop.
Yes,
that's fine.
Cowboy Bebop the movie, and I'll put in brackets knocking on heaven's door.
So there you have it. Cowboy Bebop the movie goes in at 103. Not too bad. Yeah, like I mean, I kind of think it's in that position because the series is so good. That's kind of giving it a bit more weight.
I think it was. I think it's standalone. It was good fun.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah. It's just not. I think I was expecting something revelatory because of the things I'd read saying. I mean, it was a quote. I think it was a Guardian quote saying like deserves to be up with Spirited Away, Akira, and Ghost in the Shell.
No.
And it's nowhere near that, is it at all?
No, not at all. Well, there you have it. Hey, I was meant to remind you of something to do with Johnny Mnemonic. So,
yes.
Number one is our. Have we finished our competition?
Let's give it another week because it's the end. Okay. Isn't it out this week? I think it's out this week, isn't it?
It is out. It was out yesterday, according. So yeah, Johnny Mnemonic. We did the episode a couple of. You could
2
listen
weeks
to the
ago.
episode 2 weeks ago, but we've got a. That was in celebration of the Blu-ray release. So you can win yourself a copy. Just like us and rate us on iTunes.
Anywhere, Spotify.
Yeah, anywhere.
Just
tell us. Yeah, tell us we've done it, and you might be in the prize draw. But anyway, you said there was some correspondence.
Yes. It's from Colin. We've not heard from him in a very long time.
Good old Colin.
Hello, Colin. So he's got a bit of fact checking for us. So do you remember in that episode of Johnny Mnemonic when I was very COVID-addled?
Yeah.
And I suddenly jumped to Gabriel Byrne as the devil.
Yes.
And we tried to work out what the hell was going on. Well, Colin's worked out.
Thank you, Colin.
Right. So from Colin, you jumped from Constantine to Gabriel Byrne as a devil. Here's how. Keanu Reeves is in Constantine, as you know, but he's also in Devil's Advocate, where he has to work with the devil on Earth, in this instance played by Al Pacino. I think I was getting towards that bit.
Right, okay.
Your brain somehow muddled Al Pacino's devil character with Gabriel Byrne's devil character in End of Days. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm doing that jump, but he plays the devil in End of Days. So
the Arnold Schwarzenegger one.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. Wow.
Thanks, Colin, for your encyclopedic knowledge of those sorts of films, for getting that for us.
Wow. So we almost did the kind of movie devil rating system.
I don't know what's going on.
Who's a better devil? I tell you who's a better devil, but this is spoilers. I tell you who I think is a better devil.
Go on then.
Robert De Niro in what's it, Angel? What's it called? Something Angel. What is that film called?
What's that film called?
With Mickey Rourke in it.
Yeah.
Something Angel.
That film called? That is a good film. I think Al Pacino's a good devil in Devil's Advocate. He's really
I'm down here.
Really hamming it up.
I'm down here.
I sampled that in a song.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's an absentee landlord. Isn't that
That's
it?
a great film, that is. Yeah.
Angel Heart, that's the one I'm talking about.
Angel Heart.
Very good devil.
Colin also said that I bet Alex was gutted. He's watched Johnny Mnemonic 50 times, watched 2 different versions of the podcast, knew the script word for word, but didn't know the AI lady was Johnny's mum. but a delirious Kobe Middle Sam got it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I did. I missed that because I was so into it. I was so into quoting Keanu back at himself that I didn't even realise that massive plot point. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thanks, Colin, for that that fact finding for us there.
Colin. Yeah. Hey, what's next week? Do we know? Well, we've still got the Great Wall to go.
I think it's Monster Trucks, isn't it? If
Trucks.
If we're on the routine, it's Chris's film, Monster Trucks. Yeah. But I'm not going to guarantee it because we don't know what the hell's going on with Chris.
No, so we
might. The next thing you might hear from us might be a little catch up with Chris to find out what he thought of these films, possibly. But
good idea.
We will reserve judgment.
Yeah.
Also, we should watch. Hang on, there is a. I made a note. We had a recommendation for a film and we didn't do it, basically, and I think we should probably do it because we just ignored. We said we'll do that, and we didn't do it.
What was it?
Bear with me. I sorted out all our correspondence and stuff.
Oh, well done. Caught up.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit! I think we said it on air, but I don't think we ever actioned it. It was Vanilla Sky. That's what it was. Vanilla Sky. But I can't remember who.
The Tom Cruise, because that's a remake, isn't it? Vanilla Sky.
Yes. Here we go. This was last August. I'm pretty sure we read this out already.
Oh,
but I'll
I'm
read
sorry.
It again.
Well, that's bad of us.
From Ryan in Richmond, Virginia, which I think isn't that where that other guy was from Virginia who said he got
big.
Like several listeners?
Yeah,
so whoever that other guy was, he's doing it. Listening to shows since quarantine last year, I really enjoyed each episode. I'd like to hear your take on Vanilla Sky. It didn't get great reviews, but I think it's a decent sci-fi movie with some interesting concepts. Also, a great soundtrack. He's right, the soundtrack is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should do that.
Okay.
There's something different to what we've been doing lately, isn't it? So
yeah, we can add that to the list. Yeah.
So that's,
I haven't seen that for a very long time.
No, nor me. An extremely long time.
It's when they got together, isn't it? Him and Penelope Cruz.
Is it?
I think so. I think it was on that film.
Wouldn't he been with? Is that before Katie Holmes?
Yes. Maybe. I don't know.
We'll find out.
It's definitely Penelope. Yeah, I don't.
We'll have a gossip column when we do the show.
Vanilla Sky. So that's coming up too. Well, yeah. Well, hopefully Chris will be back. We'll be back to being a trio again.
We need the science input. That word you couldn't say, and I couldn't help you. That's when Chris would have come in like that there.
Yeah, he would have. And he would have known what all those planes were as well.
He would.
He'd have reeled off those planes just like that. Definitely. Yeah, well, that's it. So, yeah, we'll be back, definitely. But what we'll be back with, who knows?
Who knows?
It's exciting.
Something science fiction related, I'm sure.
Yeah, so, yeah, what is it? What do they say at the end? Is it like Happy Trails?
Isn't it See You Space Cowboy?
See You Space Cowboy?
Was that a Jamiroquai album? I think that's a Jamiroquai album.
The Return of the Space Cowboy is a Jamiroquai album. I don't think
what does it say at the end of it?
I don't think that's about Cowboy Bebop, though.
What is it they say? I'm sure it's See You Space.
I think it is See You Space Cowboy.
See you later, Space Cowboy.
See you later, Space Cowboys. And we will see you later.
Oh no, just See You Space. Oh, I don't know. I just ruined your ending. No, it is just See You Space Cowboy ... There we go. Okay. So do it again.
So, see you, Space Cowboys, and we will see you ...
Nice. Bye.